Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a dreary, misty, damp, moist Moosa Stadium here in Pearland, Texas. We're at the business end of the tournament, but I don't know how much cricket we'll get in today, but we must try. This is Brian Walters. I'm happy to be bringing you coverage of the National Women's Cricket League Houston Women's T20 Championship 2023, brought to you by SMK Global and iStrive Technologies. Because of the conditions, because of the fact that rain is expected in earnest around 11:30 today, Central Time, it's now 9:35 a.m., the umpires and organizers have decided to play a 10-over match. So this match between the Willow Breakers and the MCA Women. MCA Women are the top-ranked team in the entire competition, and the Willow Breakers are number 4. And so this is a semifinal, number 4 versus number 1. Over on the alternate ground, Balkis, the number 2 and 3 teams are playing. We'll talk about them in time. In fact, that's between the Arizona Women, or ACZ Women Fire, and the NCCA Women. But as far as this game is concerned, it is the Willow Breakers against MCA Women. Willow Breakers won the toss, and Captain Delkash Shariarian has decided to have a bowl. Therefore, once again, 10 overs, so everything that you're accustomed to in a T20 match, cut that in half. So instead of 6, the power play overs are 3, and each bowler is limited to 2 overs. Bowling will be coming from the Massey Ranch Road end. I believe this is going to be, looks like Melanie Henry is going to be bowling. And the batters for the MCA Women are Meha Sivakumar and Giovanna Arias, the vice captain. Meha is the right-hander, Giovanna is the left-hander. So it's going to be fast and furious, a lot of action in a really short period of time, because once again, we're only playing a 10-over match. And in this 10 overs, you can expect that both teams will be going all out. Captain Snigdha Paul at the toss seemed to indicate that they were looking for a score of around 120, if you can believe it. So 120 in 10 overs obviously would be going at the rate of 12 runs and over, essentially 2 runs off of every ball, which is what they're looking for. And I can tell you that, number 1, that's not easy, but number 2, it would be some fearsome hitting. But as I said, the MCA Women are the number 1 team by record in the entire division, or in the entire tournament. Just looking at the points table. MCA Women have played 4 matches, 1 no result, and 3 wins. And this is a full toss to start with by Melanie Henry, knocked down to deep mid-wicket for 1. No signal yet, and there is a signal. It's a no ball. That full toss was deemed to have been too high. And all of a sudden, if you're looking for 120 runs in 10 overs, this is a good way to try to get it. That full toss knocked down to deep long on. But again, it was a full toss that was above waist height. And by definition, that is a no ball. And now, since the batters switched, they ran a single on that. Without the batters having switched, then you have to stay put. Fielders have to stay in their original position. With the change of batters, that's not the case. So this free hit delivery is fired across wide outside the off stump. And all of a sudden, Melanie Henry is starting out with a little bit of wayward action. This is lofted into the outfield, the subsequent free hit, because that was also a free hit, because the free hit ball initially was wide. And so a second free hit, and it's knocked into the outfield for a couple. So once again, really difficult conditions. Very wet. Again, there's a lot of rain in the forecast. So you're looking to hopefully get the games in that we're looking to. There's going to be 2 semis and a final. This semi is between the MCA Women And the Willow Breakers and the second semifinal going on right now at the Balkis Field is ACZ Women Fire. And that's cut into the outfield. That's cut away beautifully for 4. So an expensive start to the spell here for Melanie Henry. First delivery, or the next delivery, a little too far outside, offering just a touch width to Meha Sivakumar, and she cuts it away fiercely through backward point for 4. That's Janae Basson at point, but she was not able to get to that. So once again, the second semifinal is between the ACZ Women Fire and the NCCA Women. This semifinal, that semifinal is the matchup of 2 and 3. And then this semifinal here is 1 versus 4. Next delivery, tossed up. That's a good ball. For the first time, there is a dot ball in this match, and that's more where Melanie Henry needs to be. Just right in the block hole, very full and defended back down the pitch for no run. So we are already going at the rate of 18 and over if you go by the first 3 deliveries here. Play it off the back foot again. That's going to be a couple more. That's Janae Basson after it. Strong throw coming back in. But 2 more runs. So once again, if you're looking, as Snigdha Paul said, to get 120 runs. Well, right now you're on pace based on the start. You're on pace for 176, if you can believe it. You're going at the rate of 16.5 and over. At least that's what that translates to. 7, make that 11 runs already from 4 balls. Giovanna Aras only faced 1 ball and had a single. She faced the initial ball of the match, and that went away. That was one that she received. That was a full toss, no ball. And that was the only one she's faced so far. All the rest of bowling's faced by Meha Sivakumar, and she's already on 8 from 4. So a little bit of a delay, but now we're ready for some more action. Tossed up, sliced in the air, but lands short of that fielder coming in from the covers. And they scramble through for a single. So an expensive start to the over, but the last 3 deliveries make that the last 2 deliveries have been more along the lines of what Melanie Henry wants. So 12 already from the over, but the last 3 make that the last 2 were a 2 and a 1. And generally, the last 3 deliveries have been closer to what she's looking for. Up against a big hitter here, though. Giovanna Aras is a tremendous ball striker. Full toss outside the line of off, and too far outside the line of off. That is umpire Saurav Palnitkar. And he, for the second time in this over, has extended his arms to indicate a wide. 1 legal delivery left. Big swipe and a miss. That's a good ball, inducing Giovanna Aras to come forward, and she misses that. So good close out to the over. Once again, the first 3 deliveries, legal, went for 9 runs, but then after that, just 4 the rest of the way. So end of the over 1. Score after 1 is 13 without loss. One over bowled. And it appears that we're only going to bowl from one end, or from one pitch. That's, I think, likely because they're looking to save the amount of time that it will take going back and forth, switching from one end to the other. So time is of the essence, because with the forecast being what it is, you're expecting rain around 11:30 local time. This is Hala Asmat into the attack. Her first delivery is outside off, looking to get that ball on off stump, but just a little bit too wide. Hala Asmat, Canadian national player. And bowling right arm spin over the wicket. And this is stroked into the covers. They run through for a quick single. Fielder on the cover or on the circle in the covers, and so that always provides the opportunity for a single. Once again, thank you for joining us. It's going to be a bit of a truncated day. We're looking for a relatively short match. This is going to be a 10-over match, and you expect a lot of talent and a lot of excitement to be packed into this next 8 overs and 2 balls. Tossed up, lofted down the ground. That's over the head of mid-off, and that runs away for yet another boundary. Not really hit hard, but timed very well. That is the talent of Giovanna Aras, just lofting it, just going right through the line and just lofting a low full toss right down the ground. That was over the head of Kiruthika Subramanian at mid-off. And it runs away for another boundary. So you're often running here if you're the MCA women. You're looking, as of this stage, given a current scoring rate of 14.25 and over, to be somewhere around 162 runs. That would take some doing if they were to maintain that rate. Tossed up and lofted down the ground again. This is a bigger hit, and it lands just inside the ropes at long on. So consecutive 4s here by Giovanna Aras. And thank goodness we have a replay. Look at this. Wonderful work by the gentleman in the camera in the media center. Lofted down the ground for 4. And so we have a little bit of a limited coverage today because of the conditions, because of the fact that the weather is so disruptive and there's a lot of rain all around. We have a little bit of limited coverage in terms of the number of different camera angles that you can get. But thankfully, with the talent of the media center here at Moosa Cricket Stadium, we still have the ability to look at replays, and that's a tremendous advantage. Next delivery, tossed up again, looks to replay that shot and gets a thick under edge that trickles toward backward point. No run. That was lofted, or looking to loft that down the ground and not making contact with it. So Giovanna Aras looking to get caught up. 9 from 5, looking to catch up with her opening partner, Miha Sivakumar. Miha 10 from 6. 2 balls remaining here in the over. Short down the leg side. Boy, I tell you what, that's going to go for 4. Diving effort. Oh my goodness, that's a great effort running across by Melanie Henry from long on. Diving to her left, almost got there. In fact, did get there, but the ball just trickles under her arm and goes away for a boundary. And that is 1 more ball remaining, I believe, here in the first over. In the second over. No, in fact, that is the end of the over. So after 2, my unofficial score is 23 make that 27 without loss. The scoreboard will be updating shortly. As soon as it updates, we'll get an accurate score. But I believe the unofficial score is 27 without loss after 2. Okay, so my apologies. There is, I believe, 1 ball left in this over by Hala Asmat. Tossed up and played down to mid-off. Throw down to the keeper's end. And that should conclude the over. Yes, so that does conclude the over. There's a single there. And with that single, the score goes to 28 without loss. So going at the rate of 14 and over, a great start. That 14 and over rate projects them to get to 168. So the Willow Breakers have some work to do to pull things back here, because this talented opening pair for the MCA women is off and running. 28 runs on the board after 2 overs. We'll be right back. Two overs bowled. Melanie Henry has bowled one. Hala Asmat has bowled the other. And this is now the third over to be bowled. Divya Saxena will be your bowler. And again, all of the bowling coming from the same end. My suspicion is that that's because you're wanting to get the overs or get through the overs as quickly as possible. So she bowls very quick, flat off spin. She's very difficult to get after, but this one is fired down the leg side. Goes behind the back of Giovanna Aras. And so Divya Saxena starts with a wide. She's going to be looking now. I think just an issue with the footing. And once again, you can see her there trying to make sure that where her plant foot comes down, she doesn't slip, because conditions are very wet, as I mentioned. It's very sort of overcast, and it's going to be like this for the majority of the day, with the exception of the time that it starts raining, because a lot of rain in the forecast. She's getting short and hit in the air. That's past Janae Basson at backward point. Will run close to the boundary, but pulled back before it gets there. Strong throw into the keeper's end. That appears to be the captain herself, Delkash Shariarian, with the gloves on. So, first legal delivery of this over is crashed away through backward point for a couple. And once again, at the toss, Captain Snigdha Paul said that she was looking for around 120. They're well in advance of the rate that would get them 120. Half-hearted appeal for LBW on that one. No realistic chance of that being given. I'm pretty sure that was pitching outside the line of leg stump. That right arm, very flat, relatively full. But for me, that's pitching maybe a couple of inches outside the line of leg stump. So good umpiring by umpire Palnitkar. So when it's stroked into mid-wicket or mid-on, wide mid-on, they scramble through for a single. So outside of the first delivery, the first legal delivery that went for 2, and then, of course, the one delivery before that was adjudged to be a wide. But then the last couple of deliveries have been more along the lines of what you're looking for if you're the Willow Breakers, just looking for something that stays out of the hitting zone of these two. Both are very accomplished hitters. Meha now 10 from 6 and Giovanna 17 from 10. Played off the back foot to backward point, but these two are looking to run for everything. So if there's something that where contact is made, they're not absorbing any dot balls. Everything they're looking to run on. And just looking at the overall stats so far, we're looking at only 3 dot balls in the length of time that they've been at the wicket. So just about everything else is they're looking to run as soon as they make contact. Obviously, you're only playing a 10-over match. Very full appeal for LBW, not given. Once again, I think that's going to be because it's pitching outside leg. And I think, again, a good decision made by umpire Saurav Palnitkar. Once again, if you limit them to singles, and dot balls will be even better, then as the Willow Breakers, you'd start pulling things back. They started out at a very frenetic pace, but that pace is coming down a little bit. Lofted in the air. That's going to land safely as Janae Basson running across in the covers and only able to prevent them from scoring a second run. So they only get one. All in all, a very good over bowled here by Divya Saxena. 6 runs coming from it. That should be the end of the over. And yes, that is at the end of the over. So 34 without loss after 3. Once again, we're in for a 10-over match. So only 7 overs remaining. 34 without loss. So 3 overs are up. As I said earlier, in a T20 match, the first 6 overs, the first 36 legal deliveries, represent the power play overs, during which only 2 fielders can be allowed outside, or 2 fielders are allowed outside of the inner circle. With everything being cut in half, we're playing a 10-over match, and therefore the power play overs are the first 3. So after those 3 overs, the last of which was just completed, then you can be a lot more defensive in your field settings. So you can protect the deep boundaries with as many as 5 fielders outside the line, outside of the circle, I'm sorry. So as of right now, you see with Giovanna Aris on strike, there's a deep extra cover. There is a long on, there's a long off, and that's Melanie Henry down at deep mid-wicket. So there's your protection in the deep. And the new bowler is now going to be Ritika. Nope, that's not Ritika. We'll get exactly who that is as soon as we get the information. Slapped down the ground. Should be just one. I believe that bowler is Kirutika. Kirutika Subramanian doing a good job here of switching up the bowling so that the batters can't really target one bowler. And the scoreboard says Ritika. I'm pretty sure that that's not Ritika. Ritika is much taller and much more built like a fast bowler than Kirutika Subramanian, who used to play professionally and internationally for India, but these days plays cricket for fun. If you were with us the first day, you would have heard her comments. This is in the air and past cover. Traveled in the air for a while, just to the left of that fielder in the cover, as there potentially could have been a catch there, but still they only settled for 1. So you're looking for the Willow Breakers to try to pull things back here if you are a Willow Breakers supporter. Only another 40 legal deliveries left in this innings. Off the back foot, that's good bowling. It should only be 1 to deep extra cover. Think for a second about coming back for a second run, but they don't. So once again, you'll absolutely accept these singles if you're the Willow Breakers, because now the overall run rate is down to 10.86. Given the start that they had, a very electric start, that still puts them on track if they maintain the same start of the same scoring rate of 10.86 to get to something around 147. But you've done well here for the Willow Breakers to pull things back. This is pulled away. That's going to go for 4, even across this rough outfield or this wet outfield. That's a real drag down delivery by Kirutika Subramanian, and expertly put away by Meha Sivakumar. She's now up to 16 from 9. Giovanna Aris 20 from 14. Run rate, once again, 11.45. That run rate right now takes you to a score in excess. In fact, the same run rate would get you somewhere close to about 100 and just under 120. Next delivery, looking to work this across, and she's knocked her over. Walking right across her stumps, looking to work it on the leg side. Didn't see it live, but now we see everybody celebrating. And then looking at the stumps, you see that the bails have been dislodged. So Kirutika gets one straight and gets through the defenses of Miha Sivakumar. Here we see on the replay, I think she steps across to the leg side, to the offside, looking to work this to the leg side, exposes her stumps. And you see there the muted celebration by Kirutika because she knows that breaking this opening partnership is certainly a serious or an important part of being able to claw your way back into this match. And you certainly do that if you are the Willow Breakers. So you'll absolutely take the breaking of that partnership. Just one ball to go now in the fourth. The new batter is going to be Chinmahi Arivaselvan. Meha Sivakumar. Dismissed after a good fast start. She scored 16 from 10 balls with 2 boundaries. And now Chinmahi is going to be asked to essentially keep things going. Once again, you don't have a whole lot of time. After this delivery, only 36 balls left. You're playing a T10. So you're looking to make sure that you hit the ground running. So you don't need to necessarily do anything risky. And in fact, this is the last ball of the over. So if there's a dot ball, if there's an uneven number of, an even number of deliveries or runs scored rather on this ball, that means at the beginning of the next over, Giovanna Aras will be on strike, and she's 20 from 14 and can hit long. This ball is played into the covers. They run through for a single, which means that everything I just said is now moot, because that will mean that Chinmahi Arivaselvan remains on strike to start the next over. So that is the end of 4, and the score is 4-3-1. Four to 3-1 after 4. This is going to be Halat Azmat to continue. And she will be bowling to Chinmahi. Chinmahi only facing 1 ball so far. She came in at the fall of the first wicket, scoring now 4-3-1. And her partner at the opposite end, who has been going great guns, Giovanna Aras, 20 from 14. And as a reminder, this is the NWCL Women's T20 Championship, presented by SMK Global and iStrive Technologies. SMK Global, featuring Avani and Abhijit Patel. iStrive Technologies with Padma and Sudhakar Kanumuri. Those are your main sponsors. And in this game, scoring right now at the rate of 10.75, and looking to make sure that they keep pushing in that direction. But there's been good bowling for the last couple of overs. And as I say that, I may have jinxed her because she pushes that one too wide. And it's another wide ball. A number of extras so far. 7 in total by my count. Each of these runs is very critical in the context of this game. Again, bouncing, in fact, almost appeared to bounce the second time before it got to the batter. but only judged to have been wide by umpire Saurav Palnidkar. So just having a bit of trouble finding the right radar here, Hala. Tossed up and played around the corner for a single. This is fielded. In fact, they're coming back for a second. Throw to the keeper's end is offline, and they sneak back for a couple. So one legal delivery bowled so far and 4 runs on the board for this over. So Hala Asmat has some work to do to pull things back. Once again, we're into the 5th over. So after this over, you will be halfway through the innings, keeping an eye on the clock, keeping an eye on the weather, because within about an hour and a half, we should be getting a level of rain that you would think would make this match unplayable. But we'll take that when it comes. As of right now, Hala Asmat has some work to do to pull things back. Looking to hike this over square leg and not making contact. So that is a good thing to have happened, because no one in the deep behind square on the leg side. 2 fielders who are on the leg side, one at square leg right next to the umpire and one at short fine leg. So anything elevated over them will surely run away for 4. Again, outside the line of off stump, but this time umpire Palnidkar keeps his arms by his side. So precious dot ball. You like seeing that if you're the Willow Breakers. Now just looking to make sure that you continue bowling that same line, maybe a little bit closer to induce the batters to play. But this is played right down the wicket and just going to be a single though. So that similar pattern that you've seen a number of times in this match, where the over starts out being very expensive and then they pull it back towards the back end. So the first official ball of this over, one official ball, legal delivery, meaning there were a couple of wides that went before that. So the one official ball goes for 4, and then the remaining 3, or the 3 after that, combined have only gone for 1. But watch out here, because Giovanna Aras is a big hitter. Mid-wicket is in place. Long on is in place. And she hits that gap between long on and mid-wicket. Really, it doesn't matter whether it hit the gap or not, because it goes all the way for 6. That landed probably 5 yards over the boundary ropes. She is an absolute hitter of the cricket ball. And it flies well over the top and lands again about 5 yards over the ropes. So very, very dangerous hitter. And if you give it to her in the way where she likes it, where she can play freely in that arc between long on and mid wicket, that essentially is the result. And if I were Hala Asmat, I'd consider going over the wicket to her and slanting it across her, because that potentially brings the fielders in the deep on the offside. There's a deep cover, and there's, mid-off is on the circle, but I think that's where I'd prefer to have her bowling or playing. And look at this. This is that could have been put away for big runs, but she ends up miscuing it, and it ends up just being a dot ball. Hala Asmat might consider herself lucky there. And actually, by my count, that should be the end of the over, but my count is unofficial and they're still bowling. So apparently there's one more ball left. Short and stroking it in front of the stumps, looking quickly for the throw. And it comes into the striker's end, but not in time. They scramble through for a single. And that, I believe, is the end of the over. At the end of 5, we're halfway through the innings. The score is 56 for 1. 56 for 1 after 5. Melanie Henry has bowled 1 over. Hala Asmat has bowled 2. Divya Saxena and Kirutika Subramanian 1 each. So Hala Asmat's 2 overs have cost 28 runs. Melanie Henry's 1 over cost 13. Good bowling by Divya Saxena. 1 over for 6 runs. And then Ritika Jaiswal. In fact, it says Ritika Jaiswal. I'm very sure that's Kirutika Subramanian. Her 1 over cost 9 runs, but she took a wicket. So we may have to get the scorers to update that scoreboard, because I'm very sure that Kirutika Subramanian is who bowled that second to last over and not Ritika Jaiswal. So Melanie Henry back into the attack, and see now that they've switched ends and they're now bowling everything from the Pearland end, which, as I suspected, is because you're wanting to make sure that the overs get through more quickly, and it takes time to go from one end of the pitch to the other after every over. It's much easier to have the fielding positions remain the same and only play from one end. It's much easier to do it that way. And so, in the context of everything needing to be happening at a frenetic pace because of the impending rain, it's not a bad idea to do exactly what they've done here. So after 5 overs, they've switched ends. And so the remaining 5 will be coming from the Pearland end. So 1 ball into that remaining 5 overs was a single. This is struck in the air straight to mid-off and taken. Make that extra cover. That is Kirutika Subramanian. Ball was struck hard, but directly to her and slightly to her right. And she took what really was not an easy catch. Bear in mind that the outfield is slippery and the ball is wet. And so struck really very fiercely and goes right to her. And she takes a really good catch, Kirutika Subramanian. So that is the end of Chinmahi Arivaselvan. She scores 4 from 5. But once again, the Willow Breakers looking to claw their way back into this match. They have taken 2 wickets. So the MCA women bat very deep. And in fact, now coming to the wicket is the captain, Snigdha Paul. Giovanna Aras, 28 from 18. She's a left-handed batter. She's now joined by another left-hander, the captain, who, for my money, is the best batter in the side. So, you have the situation where you've taken a wicket, but now what you want to have happen is you need to control and contain this pair, because my impression is that this pair is the biggest difference between a score that is somewhere north of 140 and something that's a little bit more manageable. So you're going to have to tighten up your bowling here. You absolutely will accept the wicket that you took if you're Melanie Henry, but you're going to want to make sure that you contain this pair. So I like the fact that she's bowling, in fact, staying over the wicket. Full toss sliced to deep point. They may come back for 2, and in fact, they get there pretty easily. So immediately off the mark is Snigdha Paul. I started saying I like the fact that Melanie Henry is bowling over the wicket to create that angle across the left-handers. And I think, particularly if you're bowling off spin, that is a better option to stay out of their hitting zone, out of the power game, because from around the wicket, slanting into each of these left-handed hitters, they tend to be very, very aggressive, and that's when you target that gap or that arc between long on and mid-wicket. And so let's see. Just 3 balls remaining here in the 6th. Melanie Henry, still over the wicket, fires this one more quickly, and this is a little bit of a delicate late cut played by Snigdha Paul. Good chase down there by Janae Basson and keeps the damage to 1. So a productive over so far by Melanie Henry. Only 4 runs coming from it, and she's taken a wicket. The last 5 overs have only yielded 47 runs, which certainly would have represented a slowdown as compared to how the pace at which they were going earlier. 60 runs on the board for 2 wickets. And this is in the gap, in fact, just to the left of cover. They're coming back for 2 more. Cover could potentially have gotten down to stop that, but not able to do so. I believe that fielder at cover is Ritika Jaiswal. And if that's Ritika Jaiswal, then certainly that's not who bowled the 4th over. So I think that the scoreboard operators or the scorecard operators may have some cleanup work to do there. 1 more ball remaining, 62 runs on the board. And this is the last over of Melanie Henry's spell. Once again, you're limited as a bowler, and this is a 10 over match. Oh, look at this. Going whizzing past the outside edge for no run. In a 10 over match, you're limited to 2 overs per bowler. No one bowler in any form of limited over cricket can bowl more than 1/5 the number of overs to be bowled. So that last over going for 6 runs, a good comeback by Melanie Henry. Her first over went for 13, but this is a much better over. 6 runs, so you cut the runs in half and you take a wicket. This is good work by her. And after 6, the score is 62 for 2. Back end of the innings here, the last 4 overs to be bowled, and this appears to be Kirutika Subramanian at the top of her mark. She will be bowling her 2nd and final over. Subramanian, her first over went for 9, and once again, even though the scorecard says Ritika Jaiswal, that over that is now showing as having been bowled by Ritika Jaiswal needs to be changed. That was Kirutika Subramanian. She's now coming in for her last over. Bowling around the wicket, and this is stroked down to long on. That's just going to be a single. That is, I believe, Divya Saxena down there on the boundary at long on. So needing now to stay out of the hitting zone of both of these batters if you are Kirutika Subramanian. Bowling around the wicket, so that angle, as I mentioned before, is one that, if you're not careful, will have them target that gigantic gap between long on and mid wicket. Lofted in that exact area, stays in the air for a while, but should just be 2. Strong throw coming into the bowler's end. That is a great throw from Divya Saxena. But it does result in 2 runs being scored. So 3 runs from the over from the first 2 balls. And you anticipate that both Snigdha Paul and Giovanna Aras, the captain and vice captain, will be looking to push on from here. This is Giovanna Aras. He's on strike. She's 32, not out from 21. Outside off and 2 wide. A bonus run being offered here. We're down to the last 22 legal deliveries of this match. Not of this match, I'm sorry, of this innings. So the MCA women, after having been inserted into bat by the Willow Breakers, Captain Delkash Sariarian winning the toss and choosing to bowl first. This is tossed up and just driven to the covers. Sorry, not the covers. That was driven to sort of square leg. And they scrambled through for a single. 1 over is what the scorecard shows for Kirutika Subramanian. But, in fact, it shows that she is in her first over. She is, in fact, in her second over, so this should be her last over. So she has 3 more balls remaining in her spell. Tossed up, played through the offside. Should just be one. Melanie Henry coming in off the boundary. She has a very, very strong throwing arm. She actually underarms that ball back from about 40 yards, and it bounces once before it gets to the non-striker's end. So commented yesterday that she has a really strong throwing arm. And even when she's just throwing it underarm, she still gets it 40 yards on one throw. And I think you just saw one of the parents on the other side remarking exactly on that, just mimicking that underarm throw. This one is knocked down to long off for a single. Good stuff so far by Kirutika Subramanian. Just 1 ball remaining with 7 runs on the board already. 7 runs in 5 balls in the context of this game, in the context of a 10-over game, is really good going. And next delivery, slower through the air, looking to cut this away. Not making any contact. So that is the end of the 7th over. 7 runs coming from the 7th over. And after 7, the score is 69 for 2. $69 for 2. This appears to be Mithila Mudgalia, who's going to be bowling her first over. And she's bowling to Giovanna Aras. 34 from 23. Too far outside off and another wide. So if you don't clean these wides up, if you are the Willow Breakers, then you're going to be chasing a much bigger total than you would have wanted to. So far, by my count, 10 extras, or 10 total extras, which includes wides and no balls. Make that 1 no ball and 9 wides. So these are extra balls and extra runs. You don't need to provide either of those two to a side that is as strong with the bat as the MCA women are. This is better, just on that off-stump line and work down to long on for single. Long off, my apologies. So Snigdha Paul now on strike. 5 from 5. Giovanna Aras has been there from the start. She's 35 from 24. Full toss and outside the line of off stump. Yet another wide. And we are now into the back end of the innings. Just the last 17 legal deliveries left. Once again, keeping an eye on the weather. It is now 10:23. So we're looking to get through. As this is cut away, Janae Basson is after. It should just be 2. And the strong throw coming back into the keeper's end. Easy 2 runs. So keeping an eye on the weather. The latest forecast that I managed to see showed that there would be rain around 11:30. And if that's the case, 11:30 is 1 hour and 7 minutes from now. So you'd need to get 2 more overs and a break and 10 overs inside of the next hour and 7 minutes, which is not going to be easy. So my sense is that the umpires will start rushing these players through, looking for a big drive down the ground, Snigdha Paul, and missing out. That's a good delivery, right in the slot, or at least just short of the slot, but inducing her to come forward and drive and not able to get to that shot. So that's a good piece of bowling by Mithila. Next delivery, tossed up, similar delivery, and she bowls her. She tossed it up, inducing the big drive and looking to come down and hit over the top Snigdha Paul, but missing it, beaten in flight. and the middle stump is knocked back. When we get the chance, here you see the replay. Look at her feet coming down the track, looking to go big and advancing and just absolutely kissing the top of middle and off. So that is a good piece of bowling. Slower through the air by Mithilamode Galia and beating the captain and who I believe is their best batter in flight. And that results in the fall of the third wicket. So 74 for 3. The Willow Breakers are looking to claw their way back into this match. They were far behind and they're under the gun for the first 3 overs. But look at that run rate. It is now down to 9.65. And if it's all the way down to 9.65, then you can certainly understand why all of a sudden, instead of looking for 120, which is what Snigdapal said, they're going to be now looking to put something decent on the board that represents some sort of momentum build, because their momentum has been taken away from them in the last couple of overs. Good bowling, only 5 runs coming from this over so far with 2 balls to go. The previous over yielded 7 runs. Previous over yielded 6. So really good bowling so far in the last few overs by the Willow Breakers. This is stroked off the outer edge to backward point. Quick throw by Jenny Basson, but she can't prevent a single. The new batter is Shreya. Shreya Arora. And she's a right-handed batter, so you now have the left-hand, right-hand combination again, which makes things difficult for the bowling side. Constantly having to switch fields and constantly for the bowler having to switch lines that you're bowling. But you'll take that every day. This is stroked into the short mid-wicket area. That's just going to be a single. And when I say take that every day, I mean you'll accept the fact that you have a left hand, right hand if it happened as a result of you taking a wicket. So that's something to rejoice for if you are the Willow Breakers. So 2 overs remaining. After 8, the score is 76 for 3. So 2 overs remaining, the score is 76 for 3. As I always say, there's a number of you watching online. It becomes extremely difficult to filibuster. So if any of you wanted to join us in the chat and give me something to talk about other than what is being seen on your screen, then I do really appreciate that. Otherwise, I'm sitting here hearing myself talk for 2 hours, and that's not always fun. This is Janae Basson bowling penultimate over of the innings. This is sliced into the deep. This is Melanie Henry. Look at that. Again, an underarm throw that just goes straight to the non-strikers. And I think that the reason why she's able to make that underarm throw is because these fielders or these batters know the strength of her arm. And so they're not going to take her on and try to run a second, because my experience has been that she has such a strong throwing arm that she'd want to, or she'd sort of preclude them from doing that. That's played through the offside this time, and it's going to be a single. So 2 balls, 2 singles so far by Janae Basson. Good bowling on each of them. She's bowled outside the line of off to both the left-hander and the right-hander. So she obviously has control of the line that she's bowling. And then the length is such that she's getting them to play relatively square instead of straight, but there's protection in the deep for both those types of shots. So good bowling for the first 2 balls here by Janae Basson. Full toss, sliced in the air and landing short of cover. That is Ritika Jayaswal. Not able to get to it, but still only just another singles. 3 balls, 3 singles, and another 9 balls remaining in the innings. Once again, Captain Snigdapal wanted 120, and that's the exact number she called for at the beginning of the innings. But in fact, she called for that at the toss. So I think they're going to end up much shorter Appeal for LBW, half-hearted appeal. Umpire Saurav Palnidkar shaking his head no, but that is a precious dot ball. My goodness, that scoring rate is coming all the way down now. Just 2 balls remaining here in the 9th. Innings scoring rate is 9.12. Short of a length, looking to play this away, but it's going to be a wide. So the first wide bowled by Janae Basson. Still 2 legal deliveries to go in her over. And since this is the 9th over, this is her only over that she'll be bowling. Not sure exactly what the reaction there was. That appeared to have been... she reacted to something from the umpire. My apologies, actually. That umpire is Yuvraj Singh. It's not Palnidkar. Stroked in the air back over the head of Janae Basson. Not able to take the catch, but it only goes in the outfield. A strong throw coming back in, and they're going to collect it. No, she doesn't collect it. Had she collected that, that would have been out, I believe. Eventually disturbed the stumps, but it does not look like she had the ball in her hand. So let's see here. Take off running. There. Oh, had she been able to collect that cleanly and knock the stumps down in the same motion, that very well could have been a wicket. But it ends up being 2 runs. Now just 1 ball remaining in her 1 over that she's going to be able to bowl Janae Basson, because, again, this is the penultimate over. So just 7 balls remaining after this. In fact, 7 balls remaining, including this next one to come. 7 legal deliveries. Score is 82 for 3. Giovanna Aras on strike. I'm sorry, she's at the non-strikers end. She's 38 from 27. And Shreya Arora on strike, 4 from 4. So the next delivery, slow, loopy through the air and adjudged wide. So still 7 legal deliveries to go and another run to the total. These are important additional runs. By my count, unofficially 13 extras. So the score would have only been 70 without the extras. Wave and a miss outside off. And that is a good closeout to the over. So even with a couple of wides, only 7 runs coming from that over, 40 runs coming from the last 5. And the overall run rate 9.22. The score is 83 for 3 with 1 to go. One over remaining in this semifinal match between the MCA women and the Willow Breakers. The Willow Breakers winning the toss and choosing to bowl first. And I think based on what you wanted at the beginning of this innings, if you were the MCA women, you were now operating with much fewer runs than you were expecting. They wanted, again, the captain, Snigdha Paul, said that she wanted 120 on the board. Overheard the coach shouting that they wanted to get 100. I don't think either of those 2 numbers is going to happen. 100, I guess, there's an outside chance if they get 17 runs in this over, but it will not be easy. It will be bowled, I believe, also by Mithila Modgalia. First over, 1 for 7, tossed up, hammered into the deep. In fact, just over the head of that fielder at short mid-wicket. That is Kirutika Subramania, and it clears her and goes all the way for 4. So that's a good start to the over. If you're going to look for that 100 mark, you have 5 more deliveries to get 13 runs, which I didn't think it was realistic. But if you start that over with a 4, then certainly it becomes something that is realistic. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, it's just got much darker. And there's a very light drizzle around. So we may be playing with less time than we thought. Slapped in that same direction again, but on the ground. There should just be 2. Strong throw coming back in, but they run through for 2. So 6 from the first 2 balls. The last 4 remaining. Once again, if you're thinking of a target of around 100, that means that you have 7 or 11 runs to get in the next 4. This is played into the outfield. This is Melanie Henry coming back for 2. My goodness. A slightly wayward throw, and that potentially could have been another run out. In fact, could have been a run out, but not able to get to it in time and not collected cleanly by Mitila. So 2 runs. They're essentially looking to run 2s on everything here, I think. So 8 runs in the first 3 balls, sliced in the air. That's going to be 2 more, I believe. Melanie Henry coming across, but she won't be able to prevent 2. So that is 4-2-2-2 in this last over. 10 runs already. And the last 2 to come. Quick chat between Captain Delcash and Mitila Modgalia. She may be imploring her to get that ball just a little bit straighter, because there's been a lot of width offered on the last several shots. Each of them has been carved. In fact, the last 2 shots, both of which have been carved over the offside for doubles. I'd probably want her to be playing straight down the ground if you're going to be bowling that length, and that's exactly what she did. Right, 1 bounce down to long on, and they come back for the second. Appeal for the run out, and it is not given. I don't know that that ball was collected cleanly either, but that is 4 consecutive doubles. And the score is now 95 with 1 ball to go. If you're going to get to 100, barring extras, you're going to have to hit a 6 here. So it would essentially be a moral victory. 95 runs is not much difference for me between a 99 and 100, but it would be sort of a psychological impact of having triple digits on the board, maybe something that they're looking for. In any event, here's the last ball, and this is hit into the covers just for 1, and that is the end of the over. So a good, productive last over, 13 runs coming from it. That ends with the score being 96 for 3. Shreya Aurora ends up with 4 from 5. Giovanna Arras 51 from 33. So she does get to her 50. Opened the batting, batted all the way through the innings. She carried her bat in the phrase that we always use. And 96 for 3 is what your final score is. So look at the total scorecard. Giovanna Arras 51 not out from 33. Meha Sivakumar 16 from 10. Chinmahi Arriva Selva 4 from 5. Snigdha Paul 7 from 8. And Shreya Aurora 4 from 5. For the bowlers, Melanie Henry 2 overs, 1 for 19. Hala Asmat 2 overs, none for 28. Divya Saxena 1 over for 6. Ritika, no, in fact, again, I think that's incorrect. There should be 2 overs bowled by Kirutika Subramanian. So those 2 line items combined, it should be 2 overs and 1 for 16. And then Mitila Mudgalia, 2 overs, 1 for 20. And Jenny Basson, 1 for 7. So we'll have a short break. And I'm assuming we'll be off for about 10 minutes. And then we'll be coming back for the chase in what's very much deteriorating conditions. But we'll play as much as we can until the rain says otherwise. For the right now, we're signing off for the moment from Prairie View, from Moosa Stadium in Pearland. Join us for the chase in 10 minutes. Welcome back to the Moosa Cricket Stadium in Pearland, Texas. Conditions have gotten a little bit worse, but we're still going to try to play. So the batting side, first, the Willow Breakers inserted MCA women into bat, and the MCA women scored 96. They were able to come up with 96 for 3 in their 10 overs. Once again, we're playing a 10-over match. And that means in order to gain victory, the Willow Breakers are going to have to score the small matter of 97 runs in the next 60 legal deliveries. I happen to be joined here, by the way, this is Brian Walters again, and I'm joined here in the commentary area by a former professional player, state level and zone level in India, Miss Nihali Niogi. Good afternoon or good morning, Nihali.
Hi, Brian. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning, and it's a pleasure to have you. It took some time for me to realize, once again, my coffee hasn't kicked in yet.
No worries.
You were actually one of the players in the Chickadees side, am I right?
Chickadees, Massachusetts, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your playing career for the last several years, and what are you doing these days?
Well, so I would say that my playing career almost ended back in 91, where I played for the Gujarat state. I come from Ahmedabad, and I played for the Gujarat state, and I played for West Zone. And I was also one of the probables for the Indian team going into Australia back then. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, these days I'm pursuing my career. I came here for my engineering career,
sure.
So working as a software architect. So that's me.
Fantastic. So I'm going to ask you more about your career in just a second. Just to say where we are now, this opening bowler is Aditi. And this is clipped away into the deep, just going to be one to deep square leg, off and running. The opening partners or the opening batters for the Willow Breakers are Bhakti Shastri and Divya Saxena. Bhakti Shastri, both right-handed batters. Have you played either with or against them? In fact, you did play against them earlier this match, right?
Or
in this series.
Earlier, yeah. Absolutely.
Tell me what your thoughts are about either one of them or both.
Oh, fantastic team. A lot of youngsters. So good to see, this platform and how they're playing. I do see a lot of power in the game, and I'm quite happy to see that. And these young girls getting this platform to show their abilities is great.
Fantastic. So this next delivery slapped into the offside for no run. Put your mind in the position of somebody who is in a semifinal and you need to chase 97 runs in 10 overs.
90, so that's almost like a 10 runs and over.
10 runs and over. So you don't have time to play yourself in. You basically need to play yourself in while you're walking to the wicket.
Uh-huh.
And it's a semifinal. So essentially, if you don't win this match, you're done. In addition, the weather conditions, pretty heavy mist, almost a light drizzle, and you know that rain is coming later on. What are your thoughts when you're looking to play in a situation like that? That's a lovely stroke down the way, by the way, down the ground, high front elbow, punching it right down the ground for 4. Good-looking stroke. Over to you.
Yes, Brian. So, I think that's the tricky part is the rain and the uncertainty with that. So you got to kind of be aware of the the run rate as well. But I would say, it's a decent, it's a 50-50 chance. So I would say go for, getting a little ahead rather than waiting for the last few overs. So I would kind of be ahead. So it gives you the benefit of that rain as well as not saving a lot for the later part. While the field is not wet yet.
This is again driven through the offside. That's going to be 4 more. So Divya Saxena is not going to die wandering. She's obviously going after the runs. And look, if you don't win this match, you're out of or you're done with the playoffs. So you might as well just attempt to do it while you're there.
Yes, absolutely.
So she's a little bit upset with something, Divya Saxena. Not sure exactly what. Maybe the point that she's slipping. Conditions are very, very wet. And I walked out there in between innings. It was drizzling consistently and the pitch was sort of muddy. And I'm expecting or suspecting that's exactly what Divya is upset about, because she's not going to have a lot of your flexibility is limited when your footing isn't what you need it to be when you're batting. So, I'm preaching to the choir here, but you need a strong base from which to play your shots. If you're looking to play a front foot shot and you can't really push off or transfer your weight to the front foot, then that compromises your ability to play those shots. Oh, under edge, that's going to be at least 2 more, I think. But then again, you saw Divya slip when she was taking off. So look, conditions are really, really difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult. Now, question for you. While you brought up the fact that you live in Boston, you may not have said that on air, but you said it off air. You, I assume, know some lady called Meera Subramaniam. Wherever she came from, I'm not sure. But tell me about her and what has she meant to your cricketing career as it relates to your playing in Boston?
Absolutely. So, when I met Meera, I'm just amazed how she has, created this team and this energy in Massachusetts to build this Chickadees team.
Mm-hmm.
And, the game's still not very popular here, and the amount of work that she's put in to get Massachusetts team ahead of, the curve. I'm super excited and thrilled to be part of that effort. Wonderful. And also, she has not only built the Massachusetts team, but also kind of her ability to get all of the young girls exposed to this platform, right? So that's the big thing. She's building a brand new team. So I would highly encourage, if you're hearing and you're in Massachusetts, reach out to Meera, right? I mean, she's planning. Honestly, Brian, she's planning not today, not tomorrow, but it's a year from now, and I'm really super excited for her efforts, and I wish her and support her in everything she's doing.
Fantastic. So, as far as this game is concerned, you're needing to score at the rate of 10 and over to win. That first over, you scored 11, even under difficult conditions.
Yeah.
Footing is difficult. You're obviously playing against a higher ranked side, the top ranked side in the competition, but you've gotten 11 from the first over. So what does that do? And you haven't lost any wickets yet. So what does that do to your confidence?
Totally boosting it. Outfield is a little bit slower, so they're going to have to keep up at it, like work a little harder, not like, rely on fours, and they're going to have to run faster. Is that how I'm seeing this?
Sure.
Absolutely. When we played a couple of days ago, maybe on this field, it was much, much faster. So that's the disadvantage to the batting team. For sure.
So it's a disadvantage to the batting side, but is it not also a disadvantage to the fielding side? Because your ability to run across the ground for ground fielding is compromised.
For sure. I mean, the ball might be keeping low as well, so that's the advantage to the bowling team to some degree. And for sure, yeah, the running between the wickets could be affected. Fielders could be could be slipping.
Sure. And if you see, it appears as though Divya Saxena is changing shoes. If she did not have spikes on before, and maybe that's what the issue was, she absolutely needs to have spikes on, because otherwise you might as well have roller skates on out there, because it's impossible to get a good grip on the ground.
Yeah, I hope she's okay though.
You don't need to. It's so easy, for example, to injure a groin if you're going to be slipping in situations like this, and especially those quick stops and starts. Look, I've injured enough groin muscles in my life to know that that's one of the easiest ways of doing it. So you absolutely need to have spikes on. And even though this is a slight delay, you're allowed a delay if it's for safety issues. The umpires generally will allow that. And I think this is absolutely a safety issue, that she needs to have proper spikes on. So even though this is pushing us closer to when the actual rain is going to start, I still think this is something that needs to be done. So, Nehali, tell me not only about your playing career, but specifically what role you played in the teams that you played in India.
So I was an opening batter.
Mm-hmm.
I loved to field. And at one point, I really I got this, award to the best fielder award. And
Fantastic.
I love to field, for sure. Um, and, even today, I think if you ask me what you love to do, I would say I love to be on the field and I love to field. I used to be fielding at maybe gully, cover, and point. That's
So
my
you're one of the
favorite.
better fielders in the side.
And even today, I get super thrilled when I see this lush green outfield. And and I'll tell you one thing about me, Brian, that when I was really a young kid, I wanted to be a commentator. So, so today you are fulfilling that dream. And
Stop the presses. Stop the presses. You have all the talent in the world, and you just want to be a lowly commentator? What is that?
Truly, I admire commentators. I follow Harsha Bogle to the fullest.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that, back in the days, there was no way to watch cricket. So commentators' roles was even more important.
Sure.
They would say lush green outfield and they'll describe the sun, they'll describe the wicket. And then it's just, seeing cricket through the eyes of the commentator is a beautiful thing. And so I admire your job. I think it's a great place to be.
I am so honored that you just said that. And let me sort of piggyback onto something that you just said. I can count. Oh, I know that young lady. I can count on one hand easily. I grew up in Jamaica.
Oh.
I can count on one hand the number of times that I've actually gone to a cricket match live or seen a cricket match on TV in Jamaica the entire time I lived there. So 99.9% of all the cricket I experienced was through the voice of commentators.
So true, so true.
And so, by the way, I want to point something out. This is a 6, so
wow.
Divya Saxena is absolutely taking the bull by the horns and pushing on. If you note that Chinmahi is no longer running in to bowl, she's bowling from a 2-step run-up, which again speaks to how slippery it is in the outfield and how difficult it is. So it's going to be difficult for the batters for sure, but it's also very, very difficult for the bowlers.
Absolutely.
And we're still inside the power play, so at least another 8 deliveries of power play overs before you can be more defensive in the field. And this is not easy. Stroked right back to her and burst through the hands. I'll tell you what, this is not easy.
Yeah.
The ball is slippery. It very easily could have burst through her hands and hit her in the face.
Yeah,
and
I see the towel in the field too. Do you see that?
Yes. So these are difficult conditions all the way around for everybody on the field, including the umpires. And backward point lands short, and she's slipping and sliding, and this is going to be a run out.
Is it?
Oh, tragic. Absolutely tragic. She slips and falls. Accommodative errors almost, but I don't think she's going to be laughing. Divya Saxena dismissed, run out. Ball is hit to backward point. A quick pickup. Easily could have been caught, I think, had she come forward. But then Divya slips and is found short. That is tragic, and you can see the reaction on her face. She did not want, well, she didn't want to be out, but certainly not wanting to be out in that way. I have to tell you, the conditions are going to be really, really tricky, and this is going to require some conversation between the umpires and I think the captains on both sides, because I don't see this going on for another 8 overs. Have you ever had to play in conditions like this?
And well, so not like wet conditions, but really hot conditions. But these wet conditions we played earlier this week, but I don't recall back home. Of course, India being a tropical country, we get good weather all year round.
Sure.
But this is quite challenging. I mean, even for the bowler, I see her reducing the steps, and also
Yes.
the towel is out there, which is not a good sign.
Mm-hmm. So switching gears for just a second, immediately to your right is a young lady who has represented the United States of America and who, for me, is one of the more exciting young players in all of the country. So what do you think, for somebody who has played where you have played, to be able to see somebody like Geetika Kodali, who is essentially taking the mantle from people like yourself, being able to play at that level?
Absolutely. So I think one thing is take advantage of this platform, right? You're young. This is a great platform to show your skills, and of course, enjoy the game for sure. I do think that for this level of cricket, fitness is a big thing. Focus a lot on your fitness, getting out there, and the cricket can be cruel. Yeah, right. Like it's a fantastic game, but every game is a new game, and
Lovely shots.
and enjoy the game and show your skills, and be humble. That's how I would look at it.
So in the meantime, Bhakti Shastri pounces all over that short delivery and slams it to backward square leg for 4. And the batter at the other end, Melanie Henry. Have you seen her bat before?
No, I actually haven't.
Melanie Henry is a hitter of the cricket ball. This pair, I would think, if they're going to...
Yes, of course
Yes.
Yes, I missed it. Yes, I have. Yes.
She is a powerful striker. So, in my mind, this pair, in theory, could make things very difficult for MCA.
Yes.
This is defended into the offside. This is going to be an overthrow. And they'll get an additional run. That's sloppy cricket. Yeah, that's slightly sloppy. That will irritate the captain. In the grand scheme of things, it's only 1 run, but that's certainly something that will irritate the captain. Now, still in the context of this game, 28 for 1. 2.3 overs, so you need another 69, scoring at the rate of 9.2 and over. If you had a win predictor, and with all this technology, we don't yet have a win predictor. If you had a win predictor,
now you're challenging me.
Of course, I'm going to challenge you. That's a lovely shot, played behind point. That may get to the boundary, and it does get there. Wait, nope. Let's see. No, it did not get there. That may have stopped short by maybe 2 inches, even though the two people who are down by the boundary are not exactly neutral. I think they're both MCA coach and MCA parent. So maybe you take their signal with a grain of salt. But I think that was only 2 runs. So ultimately, that's I think a good call in the end. But your win predictor.
I'm not allowed to say 50-50.
No, you're absolutely not allowed to say 50. Look, you're not a politician, so you don't get to straddle the fence. All right. So, your win predictor.
Yes.
As a former professional player and a current recreational player who knows what it takes to win big cricket matches and who has been in matches of this type throughout your life and throughout your career, what does your win predictor say?
My win predictor gives 70-30, 70 to the batting team.
Whoa! Stop the presses. Okay, breaking news. Breaking news. Nihala's win predictor is broken. Okay.
Cricket. It's cricket.
Now, if you ask me, okay, I'm not going to answer that because, see, I'm the commentator. I get to ask the questions. I don't have to answer them. But I don't think either team is in the 70-30 range. If you said 53-47, that's more the range. 70-30 No, you can't say 50-50. But you went all the way to 70-30. That's
Yeah, I'm seeing a little. So, like in the last few overs, I saw a little more advantage to the batting team. To be very honest.
Really?
Yeah, because I think the way the ball is traversing, I thought it was a little slower, but I'm seeing that they're making the most out of a few. I shouldn't say few loose deliveries. And that kind of with the number of wickets in hand right now, and taking advantage of the loose delivery, the team's doing well. So that's what.
That's what led to the breaking of your win predictor.
I had to make it a little bit more. I had to make it a little bit more dramatic to get to get it more. Yeah.
So back to something that you said about 10 minutes ago that I find to be fascinating. You've always wanted to be a commentator.
Yes.
That is fascinating to me. Once again, you've had the talent and the skill level to play cricket at the highest level. It seems like, number one, you obviously know the sport, and number two, you're intelligent. So those two attributes translate to you being a good commentator. But it seems like a strange aspiration to have for somebody who's played professional cricket.
So look, Brian, I come from a state where everybody is a cricket fan. So you know the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad is one of the largest. I've
certainly heard of it. I've never been
stadium,
there.
110 is the capacity. And I come from a state where everyone loves cricket. And of course in India, I mean, you come from any state, but I take pride in Gujarat for sure. And so I loved the game. And back then, women didn't play cricket, right?
Sure.
So I just every opportunity that I had, I would kind of sneak in. And I had one of my back then I had a transistor, like a radio.
Yes. Yes.
And I would take that in the school. And that was the only way to keep me updated. But if you want to comment on the stroke, I thought that was a good stroke. But anyway, so I would listen to the transistor, and I would get this really kind of, good feeling about like what's happening. And especially if it was an India-Pakistan game, all eyes on it, like all ears on it. And I would love to just mimic the commentators. Back then it was I believe it was Lala Amarnath. I'm dating myself over here now. and
you are.
And he would just say, "Oh, lush green outfield," and he would say, "Oh well, when I played in this era, and I just loved it, and it was something that I would mimic the very first over, and Kapil Dev, who was our captain, I would want him to get a wicket. All right, and so it would be the setting would be an India-Pakistan game.
Wow!
And it would be the first over, and I would say, "Here comes Kapil, right arm over," and just the feeling of saying that, right, was very fascinating to me. And this is a true story. That even today, a lot of my family members know me as, "Oh, that's the one who was the commentator."
Really?
Today, you fulfill my dream. Oh my goodness! I'm truly commentating on a live telecast. So even though I'm not, I should say, equipped to do it.
Oh my goodness! Okay, so you're doing a good job faking it. Tell you what, let's do this. I'll play analyst. You play commentator. You describe the action.
Alrighty. All right, I'll have to know the name of the bowler, but
the bowler is Meha Sivakumar.
All right, here comes Meha, going to a run up. Looks like she's thinking. And there is a better Mel. Mel's got a nice big back lift, ready to go any minute. And there she goes, over, long off. All right, she got one drop, back to the bowler. There you go. I tried. It's been a while. We used to describe every ball, so that's how I'm used to.
I have a different question for you. I just thought of something because you called, I think you said Lala Amarnath, right?
Yes.
And you also earlier said Harsha Bogle.
Yes. I'm a huge fan of him.
How many commentators do you know from the Caribbean? Or do you know of from the Caribbean? Either current or former.
Yeah, from the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I think I know a couple. Wasn't a Sego or I'm trying to remember, but I can't. It's not coming to me right now. But I know a few.
I bet I know the name that you're reaching for.
Yeah.
Tony Cozier.
Yes.
Tony Cozier, oh, that's a lovely shot. Through backward point, once again close to the boundary.
Yeah.
Immediately,
Yeah.
coach is madly signaling that that did not go for 4. Tony Cozier
Yes.
from Barbados. My cricket was learned through the voice of Tony Cozier.
Awesome.
There's no person who is more synonymous with cricket in the Caribbean for me growing up than Tony Cozier. So once again, the number of matches that I was able to see live, I lived in rural Jamaica in the 1970s. So you don't have TV. You barely have electricity. There's no TV. There's no Willow TV that you can take your phone out and watch it on.
Yeah.
And I went to Sabina Park to watch a match exactly twice in the entire time I lived in Jamaica. So apart from that, the number of matches that I was able to experience all was through the voice of Tony Cozier.
So true. Yeah.
Tony Cozier.
I can relate to that.
He died, I would say, 5 years ago, maybe. And all of a sudden, the world became a darker place when he died. Coincidentally, 2 of the most prominent people from the Caribbean died, not on the same day, not the same year, different years, but Tony Cozier died on the anniversary of Bob Marley's death. So those 2 names, I can argue that those 2 names are the 2 that have most uplifted the stature of the Caribbean region in different ways, obviously, but both of them are exceptionally important to our culture. Something I'd highlight.
Of course. Yeah, no, totally. And there was this Australian channel too, right? I'm trying to remember the name now. That first came in after the Tony, there was another Tony Gregg.
Tony Gregg, yes.
The Australian channel, right? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And that was fantastic.
So
I remember there was one TV in our entire neighborhood, and we were all like sitting in that.
So Tony Gregg, obviously originally from South Africa, played for and captained England. Happened to have made a very unfortunate remark that he paid for the rest of his life when he said that he was going to make the West Indians grovel.
Uh-oh.
And that was a really, really bad thing to say. In a vacuum, it's a bad thing to say. To say it to a team with Viv Richards, Clive Lloyd, Michael Holding, Andy Roberts, it's a really bad thing to say. In that series, that was, okay, now we're really dating ourselves. That was 1976, if I remember correctly. One of my favorite humans in the entire world, Michael Holding. First innings, 8 for 92. Second, on a dead wicket, absolutely dead wicket. First innings, 8 for 92. Second innings, 6 for 57. Total match figures, 14 for 149. All either bowled or LBW. Because you had no assistance from the pitch otherwise. You essentially
Michael
just
Holding
had to
can do it. My husband's
fast and
favorite
straight.
cricketer.
Michael Holding?
Michael Holding.
Oh,
He talks
my
about
goodness.
him all the time.
Oh, my goodness.
His run up and his smooth action, he loves it. Yeah.
Michael Holding, I'm fortunate enough to have gotten to know him later in life. I've known him for 15 or so years. One of the kindest people that you'll ever hope to meet. He's so kind that you sometimes you forget the stature of the person who you're talking about. That's going to be 4. 2 straight and clipped away behind square for 4.
You want to adjust your wind predictor, Brian? Just kidding, of course.
Now we're sledging in the commentator's booth. I don't know that you're allowed to sledge. You've literally been here for like 30 minutes, so you're not allowed to sledge just yet.
Just kidding.
Now, let's see. Win predictor, 56 needed from 5.4. 9.88 runs and over required. It is certainly doable. There's no question that it's doable. And earlier I had said, what did I think I said? I think I said 57.43.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to revise it to 58.42. How's that?
Better. Getting there.
Ooh, going down the leg side again. Another wide. These wides obviously don't help. And at the toss, just going back to this game for a second, Captain Snigda Paul said that she was looking for 120 runs. So going by that standard, they're playing with much fewer runs than they expected.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Srinidhi, who is bowling two balls so far. 2 official deliveries, none for 7. But if you are going to be looking to defend a relatively small total, you can't have any extras. Extras obviously will hurt you in a situation like this. And by the way, just note now that the drizzle that was coming down is still coming down very lightly, but not as heavily as it was about 15 minutes ago. Oh, not looking to play it there, but she'll take those bonus runs inside edge down to backward square for a single. And not sure what all the extra applause is about all of a sudden. But look, big picture, 43 for 1, 4.3 overs. So the required rate, now 9.82. Keep an eye on that required rate. Bottom right of your screen. If you are the Willow Breakers, you want that number to keep coming down. Mm-hmm. If you are the MCA women, you want that number to keep going up. So Srinidhi Sagiraju. I'm having such a warm time pronouncing these names.
Doing good.
Thank you. Is going to have to find that off stump line. She cannot be too straight to Mel because Mel wants to go in that exact area where she was just aiming. There's nobody in the deep mid wicket. There's a square leg sort of in front of square, and there's a long on. But there's about a 90-degree gap in the deep right there, which is exactly her strong scoring areas. So if I were the bowling side, if I were the MCA women, I'd either I'd move that square leg about 30 yards to her left, or I'd encourage the bowler to bowl more of an off stump line, maybe keeping it outside off stump. Have her drag it from out there, because if it's too straight, she'll be looking to play in exactly that area. So, another single, 45 for 1. Srinidhi has now conceded 9 runs from the first 5 balls of her first over. And again, what just happened is a positive for you if you're MCA, because that one single, when you're chasing a score or a target that's above 6 and over, every single makes the required rate go up. So you're now at the point where the required rate is into double figures, 10.06. So once again, looking at your bottom right of your screen, 10.06 is what the required rate. You need to score that many runs per over. 9 already from this over. So if you score 1 more single here, then you're in range. And that is that single. So you're looking for about 10 and over. Mostly because of the fact that you've just hit a single with the required rate at above 6. Note that single made the required rate jump up to 10.2. So these are the little things that you look for in terms of analysis that make you sort of understand where the game is headed. And last over going for 10 runs. So if you're the MCA women, you want to pull that back a little bit. But in the context of this overall game, you're still now looking to make sure that the Mels and the Bhaktis of the world can have the room that they need to play through and play the big shots that they're capable of playing. And your response?
Love it.
Okay, so the golden rule of commentary. You don't just agree with me and then stop. You can say more stuff.
Yeah, getting there, Brian.
You know what? We're we're going to have to keep you in this chair more often.
Yes.
Okay, so every time that there's a tournament and we have one of these.
I would love that.
Oh my
like
goodness,
I said,
yes,
if I wasn't doing what I do for a living, that would be a secondary profession for me, for sure.
So the first time I met Mira was NWCL. Where was that, Mira? Maryland?
Yeah, in Maryland. Yeah.
And she very seamlessly transitioned from cricket administrator, former player, to commentator, just like you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that standpoint, I'll tell you, number one, it's extremely difficult to just sit here, one person, and you're talking for, if it's a T20, 3.5 hours. That's not easy to do. It is much, much easier to do it when there's another person. You're able to bounce comments off of each other. It makes a whole lot more sense that way. And it makes it more entertaining, I think, for people who are listening, because I don't think anybody just likes to hear me sit here and drone for several hours at a time.
I know for sure you've got a lot of fans.
I genuinely appreciate you saying that. Fans may be too strong, but I'll accept it. Thank you.
So you played cricket, Brian, back in your. I didn't get to know you. I apologize.
Oh no, not at all. So I moved from Jamaica when I was 14. Obviously played cricket in Jamaica. Ate, slept, loved cricket growing up. My father was the principal of the school that I went to. At each lunchtime and each recess, he was in the field playing cricket with us. It's that type of an upbringing. It's always been a big part of our family. Moved here to Houston when I was 14. Did not know that cricket was being played here. Obviously, it was nothing like it is right now. It was a small, a tennis court over on the southwest side of town that they started playing cricket at. And that grew in the last 50 years to now what is the Houston Cricket League. But, and that's Mel looking big again, not getting the connection that you wanted. But I managed to live here from 1982 until 1998 before I realized that cricket was being played here. So when I found the league, immediately started playing again. And I moved to Austin in 2004. For a while, went back and forth between home in Austin and playing cricket here in Houston until I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. I just drove 200 miles and I got out first ball. I don't like that very much. But, as I get older and sort of, I was as an opening fast bowler, so injuries start taking their toll, and so after a while, all of a sudden,
you were a fast bowler. I was going to ask you.
I am Jamaican, of course. I was a fast bowler.
Of course, everybody is for sure.
In Jamaica, we have a saying: every spinner is a person who can't bowl fast.
That's funny. I'd not heard that before.
Look, the land that produced Michael Holding, Courtney Walsh, Patrick Patterson. If you go back several decades, Roy Gilchrist, it's in our blood.
Yeah,
it's very much in our blood.
Indian wanting to be like Sunil Gavaskar
exactly,
or Sachin Tendulkar.
Exactly,
batting.
It's
more
exactly
on the batting side.
So I can list 8 or 9 great Jamaican fast bowlers. I can list maybe 2 or 3 good Jamaican batters because we place a priority on fast bowling. But so I grew up when I played. I was an opening fast bowler, left arm, and once I told myself that I was going to play long enough until I could play a game with my son. I have 2 sons. My older son is a professional soccer player. My younger son now only plays soccer exclusively, but back then played cricket and soccer both. And I just wanted to be able to take the field and play with him one game. Yes. So I used to coach him and his young friends, but I wanted him to actually play in a senior game before I retired. He and I played a game together in 2016,
nice.
And after that happened, I pulled the ripcord. We're done. Thank you for coming. I'm not doing this anymore. And so that was 2016. That was the last time I actually played. Yeah. So these days, all I do is commentate and I umpire a little bit also.
Oh, that's awesome. At least you're where you feel, good waking up to doing things.
Oh,
right? Yeah,
no question. No question.
Yeah,
and look,
awesome.
it's a tremendous, how would I put this? it's a time suck because I have a day job and I have a family, so
Yes.
it can sometimes, take away from both of those things. But for the most part, it's something that I absolutely love doing. And once again, in terms of administration, I spent a few years on the board of the USA Cricket Association. I was there long enough to know that I am a better resource off the board than on it. And my passion is development, particularly youth development and women development.
Yes.
So I go out of my way to be a resource for women who are looking to play and for youth who are looking to play.
Awesome.
So if there's a youth tournament and I can get to, if it's a reasonable distance and I can get to it, I'm there. Same thing for women's tournament. It's obviously a little bit easier to do that in the summer when things slow down and I have more flexibility. This time of the year, it's a little bit more difficult to get from point A to point B because of my day job and because of all the activities that my son has going on. But in any way possible, if I can be a resource, that's what I try to do.
Awesome. Well, that's great for us to have him, Mira. But yeah, again, and thank you, Mira, for introducing me to Brian. It was an absolute pleasure chatting with you here.
My goodness,
And,
thank you.
So yeah, let's stay engaged, and I'm sure I'll see you around.
I would absolutely love that. Of course,
Yeah.
Mira has my contact information.
Yeah.
When Mira contacted me and said that she was going to be down here, he contacted me for the first time, Mira. I think it was about maybe 3 months ago.
Correct. Yeah.
And it's like, hands up, I'm there. All I have to do is look at the master schedule. Okay, my son does not have a match. Okay, I have nothing going on for work. Boom, I'm there. It makes it that easy.
Absolutely. Yeah, Mira contacted me like a few weeks ago and said, hey, this is it. And I'm like, all right, Mira, I'm joining you.
Yeah,
Really would love to see women cricket in this country.
Sure.
Mira, too. If so, you're in Massachusetts, reach out. Let's build a great team, and we're making chickadees, and Mira's available to support you. So
absolutely,
reach out.
It is my pleasure.
Thank you, Brian.
Well, thank you so much. It is such a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, likewise. Nice meeting you.
Good meeting you as well. And tell your husband hello, and tell your family back in India hello, and tell them thanks for
probably watching. She watches every ball. So hi, Mom. I love you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Alrighty.
All right,
Thanks.
we'll talk.
Bye.
So, as far as you're concerned, Mira, you have managed to get yet another former player into the ranks and actually have them contribute to a broadcast here. So, if you're keeping a running tally, starting with yourself and then definitely going to Nehali, how many other professional cricketers are you going to bring in here?
As much as I can. Good morning, Brian. I am just amazed. I had listening to you both. It's just amazing how we can go back and relate to our cricketing years and to see all these professionals, Andy Roberts, and when you guys were talking, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, it's giving me the chills.
Yes.
I remember when I was a very young adult.
Oh, where's that gone? That's going to be 4, I believe. Yep. Deep backward square, yet another boundary. I'll tell you what, back to Shastri has been there now for 18 deliveries. She's at 25. That overall run rate, the required run rate, is down to 9.78. It's not a big departure from 10, but psychologically you have that number going down, which of course will benefit the batting side.
With Mel being there, I call her the beast.
Oh.
She can do everything. She'll turn it around. I'm just, I have played with her. I have seen her play, and I think she's amazing. So going back to Andy Roberts and Clive Lloyd, they came in, I think, 75, I believe. They were in Bangalore, and I'm from Karnataka. 7 slips a gully. Oh, my God.
Absolutely awesome. Absolutely love that. Okay, so that's one Andy Roberts story. I'll tell you.
No intimidation. I'm
None
telling
whatsoever.
you. No, none whatsoever.
I'll tell you a Michael Holding story.
Yes.
So Holding comes running in, and he, something along the lines of, I think he bowls too many bounces, and the umpire calls a no ball. And no, he warns him and says, if you bowl another one, I'm going to call a no ball.
Yeah.
And Holding said, do you think I care about whether or not you call a no ball? You need to be worried about him, because he's the one who's going to be in trouble if I bowl another no ball.
Hey, I believe that.
Oh my goodness! Just it's the energy with which that entire team played, the energy, the flair, the enthusiasm, all in the right spirit, but just you were not going to have an easy day.
Absolutely.
At all.
Yes. It's amazing, It's so nice to think back as to what the culture was of cricket, going back those days versus now. I can see a huge difference, in terms of the youngsters. And I think Nehali can also relate to it as to our conditions, our mindset.
Yes.
Basically, the main thing. Nehali, would you agree on that? The mindset. Yes? Professional.
WIPL was raising that awareness.
That's going to run close to the boundary. May not get there. This is good work by the sweeper to cut that off.
Beautiful.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that would have been close had that been collected properly. But that's two more to close things out in the sixth. So look at this. The score is 57 for 1 after 6. 4 overs, you need 40 runs, exactly 10 and over. Okay, so I asked Nehali about her win predictor, and I'm going to ask you.
Oh my God! I knew I was getting it, Brian. I was thinking about it. I know he's going to get me for this. I got to be prepared. And how do I answer this question? And I
win predictor. You're a former professional cricketer. Hello. All I am is a commentator. You're the one who has the knowledge.
The bowling is very good, but the fielding is due to the rain. I think it's sad that they have to be cautious as to how they're doing it. But with Mel being there and her hits, no matter what, whether it's an offside or a leg side or anything like that, I think she is just she's so determined to see how she can get those runs. And I'm afraid I would say that. She being there, she'll do it if she's there.
So I hear a lot of ifs and perhaps and yes. Pick a spot, pick a decision, or pick a win predict. I want 2 specific percentages. That's what I want.
Aren't we in the box where we're not supposed to predict?
No. The commentator gets to just describe what he sees.
Okay.
The analyst gets to predict. So,
okay.
Yes.
I think there's a good chance that.
Here we go again. You're couching it in. There's a good chance. Or
60-40. How about that?
60-40 who?
60 Willow Breakers.
Woo!
Yes. Yes, only because I'm telling you, only because Mel is there.
Wow.
Only because Mel is there. That's a criteria I'm putting it out there. Whoa.
Split second.
I'm sorry. Can I change? Can I change my 60-40?
No. Okay, you can change the percentages. What are the percentages?
50-50.
No, and no. There is no such thing as 50-50. I will not allow you to get away with that. So, given that there is no 50-50, and given that I think it's fair that you are thinking that the Willow Breakers are going to win, required rate after 2 deliveries in this over is 10.64. It is sneaking upward, going in the wrong direction. And this is Chinmahi, who is in her last over. Whipped away through mid-wicket. Going to be 2 more if they run hard. Yep, here they come. The throw coming in. Not very accurate, and they get there relatively quickly. So these doubles obviously mean a whole lot in the context of the game. 60 for 1 from 6.3, 37 runs needed in 21 balls.
Those sixers have to come in. Come on, Mel.
Okay, so now I told you to be an analyst. I didn't say to root. I did
yes,
not
yes.
say to root. Oh, that's just going to be one.
Yeah, now it's I can I can change the pendulum.
You have enough power to change the pendulum. Wow. So
it's a tough one for the Willow Breakers,
there's
definitely.
no question it's a tough one.
Yes.
But 9 wickets are in hand. Let's point that out. And one more here. But once again, when you're chasing more than 6 runs and over, each single makes that required rate go up. 5 runs from the over so far. This is a really good over being bowled by Chinmahi.
Excellent over. Curtailing, and then the outside fielders have been doing a fabulous job as well by fielding well, even in these rainy, wet conditions. I think they seem to be doing an awesome job.
So how important is it for this to be a very good ball, to close out strong? Oh! Wow! Speaking of it being a very good ball, it is right in the block hole. Melanie Henry looking to play that to mid-wicket, where she should probably have been playing that in the V. And unfortunately going right across the line and removing her leg stump. So that is a huge development in the context of this game. I'm going to suspect, Mira, that your win predictor has taken a body blow after that outcome. Look at this delivery. Right in the block hole. Oh, yeah, completely playing across the line. That should have been played to long on or long off in that area. And she goes across the line, but look who is coming to the wicket. One big hitter disappears, another big hitter coming in. Former USA International Delkash Shariharian. Should I even bother asking you what your win predictor says now?
No, it's hard because
yeah.
I would say it is going to be a tough one for Willow Breakers for sure. She has to settle in, so she's going to. I don't believe she can hit straight away. Trying to shoot for 4s and things like that. So I wish both of them good luck, I would say.
So that feels like you're straddling the fence again on me. So I'm going to borrow this from you for a second and ask this young lady to introduce herself. I'm assuming you're Jessica, am I right?
No, I'm Uzma.
Oh, I'm way. Okay. That's 2 notes down. Sorry.
No worries.
Uzma
Iftikhar. Yeah.
Good. Oh, wait, that's right. Oh, I know. So seeing you out there is different from actually seeing you in here.
Okay.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, you as well.
So tell me, first of all, have you been watching this match? And if you have, what are your impressions about it?
Yes, I have been watching. Our game over there finished a little bit early, so I came over.
What happened in your game, by the way?
Our game...
in fact, hold on. You're now the analyst, and you're going to describe in cricket analyst terms what happened in your game. Taking yourself out of it and just sort of give us a 30-second summary of that game.
Okay. In our game, we played against the Atlanta Fire. They won the toss and decided to have a bowl first, which is not surprising in these conditions.
Of course, yes.
Our team tried to put up a formidable total. We made 74 in 10 overs for a loss of 3 wickets. And when we went out to bowl, Atlanta Fire chased the runs down in about 8 overs with 2 wickets down. So, yeah,
wow.
They won the game. Yeah.
So what was your score again when you batted?
My individual score?
No, the team remember, score? You're an analyst.
Yeah,
you're not talking about you individually.
Okay, sorry. Our score was, I believe it was 74 for 10.
74, okay.
Yeah.
All out?
No, 2 outs.
2 outs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in 74, in 10 overs, you scored 74.
Yeah.
So you scored 7.4 runs and over.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a rate that was high enough?
No, I think our aim initially was to go around 8 to 10 runs and over. I think with a 10 over game, you have to be scoring at that rate. And I think 100 would have been quite a good score. It is very hard bowling conditions out there.
Oh, no question.
Yeah, for especially our bowlers, our fast bowlers, slipping quite a lot, so kind of dangerous too. And so, it was like that for both teams, I would say. But I think 100 would have been a good chase for them. Yeah.
So for your team, first of all, where are most of you based?
So most of our team is from the Bay Area. A lot of the players are young players between the ages of 13 and 16. I think on our team it's just me and another girl who are over 19, 20,
Sure.
I would say, yeah. So myself and Sindhu Shiharsha, the U.S. women's captain, so
Right.
we've been playing with these girls at least for the last 3-4 years. And we've been kind of mentoring them when they come to these tournaments, we have plans as to how they should be playing that replicate international standards.
Sure.
Because that is the plan. You play the way you want here, and then you can go and replicate it over there.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, yeah.
So in the context of us having, let's call this the hot seat, because we're sort of having rotating individuals coming in and out, and then I'm going to talk to this young lady very, very shortly. By the way, Tia, did you win a player of the match earlier?
No, this is for Ria.
It's for where is Ria?
She's driving here.
Okay, good. Well, I'm going to talk to you in a minute anyway. But so tell me your experience as a senior player, not number one with this team, and then number two in terms of the U.S. team.
Yeah. So with this team, I know my role as a senior player. It's really to give opportunities to the younger players, as well as mentor them about, decisions that are being made on the field. Our captain, Anika Colin, she's quite experienced. And so myself, the role was, primarily to show our fielders, hey, we're doing this tactic for a specific reason, and just to make sure that everybody is engaged in the game at all times. No matter where you are in the field, you should always be thinking about the game, And now, and that was something that, with the U.S. team, I felt like as a senior member, I was there. I played under Julia Price, and I learned a lot from her in terms of how tactics are set up in international standards at the bigger teams, what they think. So
Right.
I want to, try to take something from Pricey and give it to a lot of these girls, and just to, that's how their cricket is going to improve. Slowly, basically. It's not a 1-2 year thing. It's really a 5-10 year plan, I would say, for a lot of these kids.
So in the Bay Area, first of all, what are the playing surfaces like? Are you playing on turf or are you playing on artificial wickets?
Yeah, that's quite a problem for us. Majority of the time, I would say 90% of the time, we play artificial pitches. Once or twice in our season, we're told, hey, go to Sacramento, which is 2 hours away. The turf wicket is free for you. So a lot of us, we make the effort. Yes, we'll drive 2 hours. Great shot over there, by the way.
Lovely shot.
Yeah. So we want to play turf at any chance that we get. And, because when we feel like when we go to international standards, international games, we don't have the turf experience. And that was one of the reasons I think we support these kind of tournaments where we get a chance to come play on turf. All the other players who have been playing on artificial also get a chance to come play here. Conditions are different. You have to adjust. You have to basically move with the game.
How, for people who don't understand the difference between batting on a turf wicket versus batting on an artificial wicket, tell us a little bit about the difference. So you play most of it, not you, but if a person plays most of their cricket on artificial wickets, and then all of a sudden you're called up to play against, Ireland, or you're called up to play against Scotland, and you're playing on a proper turf wicket.
Yeah.
What's that transition like, going from artificial to turf wicket?
Yeah. So I think, turf wickets, basically the condition will be the day you turn up. You have to assess what you're going to get. And with the artificial wicket, it's cement and there's a carpet on top, and it's really true to bounce.
Get back to that in just a second. This
Oh.
is a game-changing wicket. Back to Shastra looking to play that over mid-wicket. Goes across the line and Serenity knocks back her off stump with her last delivery of her spell. So talk us through this.
There we go. So Bhakti is a very experienced player from India. She's played 13 years over there with the state level. So she's quite experienced in terms of playing on a turf wicket. And I think that's the reason she's had success. But I think the bowler really, bowled, was it in-swinger? In-swinger
It
onto
looked like
her
a little bit of
stumps.
in-swing,
Yeah, a
yes,
little bit in-swing. But I think at this time, Bhakti was the set batter. She was trying to go for it, but looks like they're really pulling it close. Yeah, Bhakti scoring 39 off of 26 deliveries, really well batted. That is going to be a game-changing moment, definitely.
That is probably the biggest single wicket to fall in this entire match. She was well set. She was striking it great. 5 boundaries, and in addition to that, just strike rate of 150. So she was, I think, the linchpin to be able to take or allow the Willow Breakers to take it home. Now they're going to have to do it with 2 new batters. The captain Delcash has faced 1 ball, and Avni is now in, and she is brand new. So that is the last wicket or the last ball of Trinity's spell, only bowling 2 overs since we're playing a 10-over match. Each bowler gets a maximum of 2 overs. And all of a sudden, it may all be on the captain here. They need another 20 runs in 2 overs. Even I can do that math.
Yes. Delcash is quite experienced at the international level as well.
Sure.
I hope she keeps her cool and, guides Avni to... get these runs, knock these runs off the board. But going back to Bhakti, I was quite impressed with her day 1 that we played against them. She looks like a very active batter who's thinking on the spot. She knows how to maneuver the field. She knows where her hitting areas are. And I think she's one to look out for, definitely.
So where are you looking to score now? If you are Delcash, there's a pretty big gap between long on and mid wicket. Are you looking to target that area, or are you simply looking to get some 1s and 2s? Or do you have time to just look for 1s and 2s?
Yeah, I think so. Their run rate required is 10 runs and over, I would say. In that, they definitely need 1 boundary, and the rest you can run 1s and 2s. With the way the field is set, everyone kind of straight. Del needs to look at the areas behind the wicket. I think a lot of times those areas are ignored. We have nobody really behind the wicket. It's touch and go. So she could get some boundaries over there. The boundary riders in the front, deep mid wicket, long on, long off, have been doing a great job in collecting the ball. Once the ball is rolling out to the boundary, it is getting slower. So I would say, if you want some runs, try to maneuver. You have to be creative here. The bowlers are doing well.
So we're going to be adding a 3rd member to our commentary team here. Tia Chowdhury, good afternoon. How are you? Is it afternoon yet? Good morning. The 6 more minutes. So Tia, you were looking at this match. You see that Captain Delcash has just hit a single. So there are 18 runs needed from 1.5 overs. As a batter, first I want your perspective as a batter, and then I want your perspective as a bowler. As a batter, how do you think you're approaching this?
I'm gonna approach it like singles, doubles, and try to target the bowler's first few balls, like for a 4.
Okay. So this is a DT opening bowler. Left arm, so that angle created is over the wicket, so it's slanting across the batter. So it's not going to be very easy. He's still looking to target her first few balls?
Yeah, like
Okay, so
at this point, they need runs, and so dot balls are not really going to help.
dot balls are certainly not going to help. And with that single, the required rate now jumps up to 10.2. So now I'm going to ask you as a bowler, you've just bowled the first, in fact, your first 3 deliveries. The first one was wide, but the other 2 deliveries, you've just conceded 2 singles. So how are you approaching the next 4 balls?
I'm going to approach it by very attacking the stumps, because if you give them width, they're going to cut at it. And if you give them anything down leg, you don't have much protection back there.
Very interesting. So you're a right-hander, but just I'm putting you in the mind of a left-hander for just a second. For purpose of this question, as a left-hander bowling over the wicket, where are you pitching this ball exactly?
I'm going to pitch it just a little bit back from a good length, because it's going to cut in and it's going to be hard for the batsman to play.
Interesting. So that was driven into the outfield and only able to get 1. So these singles, you don't want a dot ball, but at this stage you don't really want a single either, because that run rate is going up with each single. So it's now up to 10.67. You still need another 16 runs in 9 balls. It's getting more and more difficult. You have the ball in your hand. Are you looking to bowl a Yorker at any point?
Yeah.
That was it. That's exactly what she was trying to bowl. And it's knocked down to wide, long on for a single. So back to you, Usma. Now you are exactly 2 deliveries from your spell being finished if you're Aditi. Still 16 runs to get, and 15 runs to get. In most instances, the best bowler gets the penultimate over.
Absolutely.
So how are you looking to close out this over?
You know, one thing you have to do is finish your over strong so that you set it up for the next bowler. I think with these last 2 balls, giving away singles would be ideal. It would be okay.
Oh my goodness,
you
yes,
know?
that's
and dot
manna
balls
from
are
heaven.
Exactly. I think just targeting that off stump Yorker, that would be that would be my go-to. A lot of times you don't want the batter getting under the ball. You know, that is where I think a lot of times you would get hit and it would kind of go to the boundary. Just like that. Yeah, don't let them get under the ball.
That is a good piece of fielding. She may have just saved 2 runs there.
Yeah.
My goodness, that would have gotten close to the boundary. Could potentially have gone all the way to the boundary, but that excellent piece of fielding at mid-wicket results in a single. So 5 balls bowled, 6 runs scored. So they need the Willow Breakers another 14 from 7 balls.
You see Del Cash trying to speak to the new batter over here. I think the plan would be to get Del on strike for the next over. If you do take a single, you know, that would mean Del's not on strike. So let's see what they do here.
So this needs to be an even number of runs.
Yes.
It's either dot or 2 or 4 or 6. You'll accept any one of those.
Okay. Dot ball it is. I'll take that.
Well, it's a dot, but it's wide. That does not help anything at all.
Regroup. Bowler just needs to regroup a little bit here. Finish it off.
13 from 7. Extras are not your friend here. You don't need any wides. You don't need any no balls. You need that Yorker right on off stump.
I think for a young bowler, she's done quite a good job
Oh my
already
goodness,
so far.
Yes.
With all the dot balls.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully here she can. Wow, nicely driven straight.
Got to come
And
back
the
for 2.
fielders are
That
doing
is
a
good
great
running.
job. Yeah.
Oh, just for a split second, I thought they were going back for the
yeah.
second one. They needed Del Cash to be on strike there, I think.
Yes, I
So
would
they
say so.
Took a single. Back to you, Tia. So now you have the ball in hand. The last over to be bowled, and the team needs 12 runs. I want a description of your over. Give me all 6 balls. What are you bowling?
So I'm going to bowl. Since I'm an outswinger, I'm going to try to pitch it on middle, so it'll swing out to off stump.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have good protection and like sweeper.
Okay. So what
Okay.
length are you bowling?
I'm going to bowl good length, and then there's going to be like 1 Yorker because
Okay. All
I
right.
don't want it to play.
Okay. I like this. Now, you said you're an outswing bowler, but outfield is absolutely wet, so the ball itself has been degraded some, so you may not be able to get it to swing. If you're not able to get it to swing, give me the details of how exactly you're going to bowl. Are you gripping it cross seam and then just kind of getting it on that good length and line, or how exactly are you gripping it?
I'm going to grip it crossing because the seam's probably going to be a bit up because of the wetness of the ball, and the ball's going to be really heavy. So if I hold it cross seam, it's going to be easier to pitch the ball.
Well, the captain is taking the bull by the horns. Snigdha Paul is going to bowl the last over, and she's bowling to Avni. Right arm over the wicket, 12 runs to get. Bang down the ground. That's just going to be a single, though. That is a good piece of fielding down there. That's the vice captain. The vice captain's name is... I'm struggling to remember. All these names are floating in my head. I have so much trouble keeping up. So 1 ball, Tia. You've just conceded a single. So now the required rate goes up to 13.2. All you need to do is to keep them from scoring 11 runs in the next 5 balls. Your approach. Does your approach change? Or are you bowling the same types of balls?
I'm gonna bowl a slower ball because if they use because Snigdha has good pace, so if they just use her pace, then it's gonna go for 4. So if you bowl a slower ball, they might mistime it. It'll be a catch, or it will just be a dot ball.
Oh, dot ball, precious dot ball. 11 from 4. Usma, what kind of field? Do you make any changes in your field given that they need 11 from 4?
I think with the way Dell has been attempting to hit, she is trying to go across the body, long on, long off. I would even put, personally for my bowling, I would put a cow corner there.
Yes.
I know if it's a thick edge, it does go to fine leg. But I think the keeper's been doing a pretty good job. And there we go. Another dot ball. Oh,
but it's a wide.
Wide. Okay.
The captain and keeper are not happy.
Yeah, this is what pressure does.
Oh, I'd want to see it. Don't know if we have the ability to show a replay on that real quick. But, in fact, forget the replay because she's ready to bowl again. Maybe at some point we can go back and look at it. But 10 from 4.
I think Dell really needs to look at her scoring areas here. Going down the...
Oh, she yorked
there's
her.
a bold. There we go.
There is the Yorker you were looking for, Tia. Right in the block hole, middle stump, knocked back. Is that the end of the game?
No.
It's not? Okay. Why do you think it's not the end of the game?
Because the game's never over until the last ball.
Okay. Here we look at the replay. Full and straight. Absolutely full and straight. Hitting the base of middle and leg. Middle and off. That is a great delivery. The captain again taking the bull by the horns and doing exactly what she needed to do. That is the 4th wicket that goes down. Coming to the wicket now is Vice Captain Janae Basson. And my goodness, all of a sudden, 97, which seemed like a bit of an undercooked total. Make that 96 that seemed like an undercooked total. They need 97 to win. Is now looking really, really big. They need 10 from the next 3 deliveries. So the assignment is pretty simple. You don't have time to do much other than hit out. You need 2 4s and a double, or you need a 6 and a 4.
I think Snigdha has done a... Yeah, we'll take some extras.
Extras will be such a bonus, but assuming you don't get any extras, then you certainly still need that.
But I think Snigdha has done a really great job in maneuvering her bowlers around, especially with the 10 overs. You want to keep your good bowlers towards the end, but you also don't want to keep them for too late where it's out of hands. And here we get a single.
Absolutely, that is
played down to mid wicket.
Wow, you thought they'd have been pushing for 2 there. You had to have been pushing for 2.
Had to go for the 2, especially with the slipperier ball.
Yes,
you would go for the 2.
And
always.
you put the pressure on the fielding side with the slipper ball, slipper outfield. That's where you would think those conditions would add up to going for a second run, but they choose not to. So they need two, or in two balls, they need 9 runs. So essentially, without extras, they need 2 fours to tie or a 6 and a 4. And that is going to be very difficult against Snigdha. Advancing down the wicket.
Very confident shot from Avni.
Good looking shot, but unfortunately, without extras, this game is effectively over. Wow. So you need 8 from the last over. I'm sorry, from the last ball. They would wish that they needed 8 from the last over. Janae Basson's options here, unfortunately, are pretty limited. And the only thing that needs to happen is that Snigdha needs to keep that front foot behind the popping crease. And that is going to be the game. Just knocked down to mid-on. Tame single to end things. That is the end of the match. And the top-ranked MCA team win by 6 runs. So your thoughts about what you just saw, Uzma?
I think it was a good win from MCA. They really used their bowlers really well. I think, seeing how Divya Saxena, how she opened the batting, and the way Melanie was trying to hit, and also Bhakti. When you're under pressure and the batters like that are hitting you, the captain does get a little under pressure. You don't know which bowlers to put out. But I think Snigs has done a great job to keep herself at the end and, to finish the game off strong for MCA. So, good work from MCA.
Absolutely fantastic. And Tia, I'm interested in your thoughts. Number 1, as to what you just saw in this game, and then number 2, the overall tournament so far.
I think that they played really well. They, even though there was some rain in the past couple of days, they still managed to have games, and the rain played a big factor in how the ball traveled, or how the pitch went for them to get wickets. And I think they got wickets in the key moments of the big hitters that kept hitting, and yeah.
And then your thoughts about the tournament overall, particularly your own performance in the tournament. What do you think?
I thought my performance could have been better.
Okay. Tell me why you said that.
I feel like some of my balls, I gave them a bit too much width, and some of them were in the slot for them to hit. So if I just pulled it back or fuller and had more variation in my bowling, I would have gotten some wickets.
Interesting. Is it more important for you as a bowler to take wickets or to contain runs?
That's a hard question.
Can I tell you my opinion?
Yeah.
If I'm playing a test match, I want to be taking wickets. In a test match, I can bowl 10 overs, and if they score 8 runs and over off of me, but I take 10 wickets, then the team is all out for maybe 120. In a limited over match, it's much more important to be a containing bowler. It doesn't matter. Well, it matters somewhat if you take wickets, because wickets tends to slow momentum. But if you're preventing the other side from scoring, the opening pair can go out there in a T20 match, and if you're bowling at an economy rate of 3 runs and over, you hold them to 60. Even if they lose no wickets, you're still well on top of the game. So and I hate to play the role of giving you advice because you have Miss Mitali somewhere in the background. For me, it makes more sense to be a containing type bowler, whether you're opening the bowling or whether you're coming in as a change bowler. It makes more sense to be a bowler who does not give away very many runs as opposed to a bowler who always takes wickets. I'll give you a perfect example. When I played, I didn't take a whole lot of wickets. I opened the bowling, but my economy rate was always around 3 or 4. And so if I bowl and played here in Houston, if I bowl an 8-over spell and give up 25 runs, that sets the team up that even when the spinners come on later and they take all the wickets, I don't care if there's no wickets against my name, because that initial burst where you limited the scoring, that's what creates the pressure. And later on, the wickets can fall all they want. You did your job as a bowler. And you opened the bowling too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as an opening bowler, it's much more important. I don't want to be going on and on about this, but don't be focused on the amount of wickets that you take. Be much more focused about how expensive you are, because ultimately that's what makes you more effective as a team.
Yeah, and that was something Pricey always spoke to us about, that, we always talk about batting partnerships, but there are bowling partnerships that are happening.
100%.
And as a bowler, as Tia is an opening bowler, you're bowling with the other bowler. You guys have to talk to each other. This is how I'm going to bowl, and set you up for the next over. And I feel like a lot of times that is, that sets the momentum for the team. Even the fielders realize, okay, this is working one over, so we're setting up for the next over. So that is something that young players really need to think about. Like, you're not always there to get the wickets. Slow down the run. I've done my part, and like you said, let the other guys get the wickets, but you've done your job. That's all that matters.
Fantastic.
As I can't keep quiet. I had to add that to what Uzma said and what you said was exact examples of what the Houston Hurricanes came close to pretty much all of the games, and the two games, one against the Californians and one against the Chickadees yesterday. If you see, in 10 overs they gave only 39 runs, and that was because the first 5 overs between Rianat Kearney and Tia Chowdhury was very economical.
Perfect example. Absolutely.
And same
perfect.
thing, 41 in the other one in 10 overs is the start they got, and then the other bowlers chipped in too. So, they kept that economical. And then the next 10 overs or next whatever you have, like 5 or 6, whichever,
right.
most of our games were reduced short. So, but, y'all just nailed it, that for a T20 game, it's not about wickets are important, as we saw in this game.
Yes, yeah,
in this game, that they took the wickets at the right moment, right? They did not let them make partnerships, and that's why it came to what it came to. And definitely that bowling partnership, with Uzma's experience, so proud that Uzma's still sitting here along with Uzma and with you, and with her experience. Giving and not even Tia, everyone who's listening out there can gain from what the experience she's shared, that it's not about batting partnerships. Everybody focuses on that, but bowling partnership is so important.
100%.
Thank you.
So, I think we've been going on 10 minutes after the game is finished. And at some point we need to end this broadcast. But just in summary, the MCA women had a few hiccups along the way, but ultimately win by 6 runs, and they will be in the finals. It will be determined in the next several minutes, I would think, whether a final is possible given what the rain forecast is. But hang loose, pay attention to our YouTube channel, and we'll be back on as soon as we get that information. We'll get that out to you. In the meantime, signing off here for the moment from the Moosa Cricket Stadium in Pearland, Texas. This is Brian Walters. Thank you very much, ladies. You are good. Even though you're shy, you're still good.